Welcome everyone. You will get a chance to say hello. In fact, you can say hello now. You can see your chat box at the bottom of your screen. You're welcome to say hello. And all throughout the webinar, you'll be able to pose comments, questions, ideas in the chat box or in the Q&A box. Just have a little look at the bottom of your screen. You should be able to see your video, your sound, chat. Someone said hello to Hero. Hey, thank you. So I'll keep an eye on that throughout the webinar. And we'll get started now. We're a couple of minutes past 11. We only have up to midday, so I'll hope that the last couple of people sign in, and don't forget as well that we record the webinars, so we'll be okay if you miss it or can't see all of it. We record it, we send it to all GUAC members, and you can see it again. Okay, so welcome. It's been a gorgeous month of sunshine. I hope everyone is well and enjoying it, unless you live on or near Saddleworth Moor, in which case you won't be enjoying it very much at all at the moment. But by the take of our attendees, we've got people from the northeast, from the northwest, from the southwest, southeast and London, so we've got really good representation today. And I'm also pleased to welcome the National Housing Federation. Thanks for signing up today, Alexandra. You're really welcome, and drop us a line anytime if you've got any more queries. So this is our regular monthly GUAC webinar. There are different topics every month, drawn from ideas from our membership and also our partnership agenda, and who we meet and where we find interesting things. We try and share them. So today is no exception, and I'll shortly introduce Juliet and Lorenzo, who are running the Transform and Achieve programme, which you've read just a brief bit about in the introduction to the webinar, which hopefully got you to sign up today. It's a really interesting programme, and I won't go into any of the details. I'll leave those to Juliet and Renzo. But I'm really pleased that GUAC is involved, and we're on the advisory board of that project, and it's going really great guns. So I think that we'll all get quite a lot out of today and the information that we're going to share. Really quick as ever, GUAC updates. After I've done my updates, I'll come off the screen so that you get some peace. And I'll hand over to Juliet and Lorenzo to introduce themselves. Couple of quick things that are coming up. First of all, today, Happy Employability Day. There's a number of members doing things. It's an URSA-led event. It happens once a year. I think this is their third year, and it tries to put a spotlight on all the activity that the employment services sector are doing to help people get into work. And today's the day, so it's called Employability Day. Hashtag EmpDay18. I can see a number of you have been busy on Twitter sharing your stories, and a really good number of Gives a Chance members are getting involved. I'm really pleased about that, and I hope it builds some strength for a campaign that GUAC is going to launch in the latter part of this year, November, when the weather will be much different, I'm sure, which is about communities that work. So we'll be doing some marketing and campaign work under hashtag communities that work. Loads more info on that will follow, but I just thought I'd mention it, seeing as today is Employability Day. So have a good day, everyone. Very, very soon, in the next couple of weeks, GUAC's IPPR research, the Institute for Public Policy Research, lands on our desks. I've seen a almost final draft. It's looking really good. It's a comprehensive profile of GUAC member activity and investment in employment and skills, and it makes some really interesting and good policy calls for housing and employment and housing and government to be better joined up, to support us to do more. So that will land on all GUAC members' desks in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. So do look out for that. It's a brief, good read, and we hope to use that at a number of events soon. We're going to launch that at the House of Lords in the middle of July, over a roundtable breakfast event, and Lord Best, who was a former Chief Executive of the National Housing Federation and now sits in the House of Lords, is supporting that. So we're really pleased about that. Just for info for GUAC members, the Salford research will launch, which also involved all GUAC members, in autumn, so after the summer break. Quick shout out for a joint conference date, which we've now agreed. It's now on our events page of our of GUAC's webpage. The 12th of September, date for your diaries, conference between URSA and GUAC. And there'll be all sorts of key speakers and breakout sessions and exhibition space. It'll be one day, it'll be in London, central London, and loads more info will follow. But if you've got your diaries to hand and you're interested in that, please put a placeholder in for the 12th of September. Loads more info will follow. And the last thing from me is I'm really looking forward to seeing about 40 plus members at the GUAC Member Day in London on Friday the 13th of July, which we'll say is lucky for us. It's probably the best attended, scheduled anyway, GUAC Member Day we've ever had. So that's a really encouraging sign. We've got a great lineup of speakers, including the National Housing Federation, and the DWP on universal credit and universal support, big lottery, URSA, sovereign, etc. So really varied agenda. It's looking really good, and I look forward to seeing everyone there. So that is more than enough from me. Welcome all attendees. Looks like pretty much everyone's here. Please do cast your eyes to the bottom of your screen. You can see chat, you can see Tahira's got it, Deborah's got it. Post any question you like there. I will pick them up and we'll make sure we get to as many as we can before midday. Any that we can't cover we'll take offline, but normally we cover them. So I'll close my video now. I'll keep my audio on, but I won't butt in, Juliet. And Julia, over to you. Thank you very, very much, I must say, for being on the webinar today. And Lorenzo, you're on location. You're not even in your own offices. You're at Thames Valley. So thanks for doing this. Please introduce yourselves. And then when you're ready, go over to your slideshow. So thank you.
Will do. Okay, hi everyone. Lovely to be speaking to you today. So my name is Juliet. I am presently working with Metropolitan, the H&L, and rolling out the Transform and Achieve programme in East London, which I will elaborate on more fully shortly. Just to give you a bit of background about myself, and before that I worked in the employment team in Family Mosaic as the head of service. And the aim, of course, whilst I was working there, was to help residents on their journey into work. I was there for 12 years. During my time at Family Mosaic, I also worked in the housing options team, and before that I was in HR. Altogether with Family Mosaic, I was there for about 18 years with a break for having children. So I'm now going to let my colleague Lorenzo introduce himself.
Hi, I hope you can see me. My name is Lorenzo Hall. I call myself a leadership coach. Mostly I use that title when providing leadership within organisations. My background last 20 years has been running my own human resource development consultancy, initially in the private sector market, but in fact for the last 15 or so years, thankfully I've had quite a lot of clients in the not-for-profit environment, particularly housing. My main focus during that period of my organisation has been, as I said, management development, leadership coaching. And to add to that, the leadership coaching has been about peak performance and achieving your best, if you like. So authentic leadership really has been a key part of what I've been doing. Okay.
Right, so we're going to switch to our slides now. Fantastic. Okay, right. So this project is led by Metropolitan, is designed and delivered by H&L Resources Ltd, and supported and funded by JP Morgan. So just to give you a bit of background on how that all came about. Basically, whilst I was at Family Mosaic, where we used to deliver this program, at that point it was called Employment Bootcamp, Rob Bowley, who was the head of neighbourhood investment, contacted me and saying that he had some links with JP Morgan and they were looking to fund something innovative. So that's how all this sort of discussion started, to give you some background. So basically, the reason they were looking for something a little bit different was that the performance in the pre-employment training environment had a bit of a reputation for struggling to recruit, particularly on self-referral basis as opposed to, you know, mandated attendance. And attendance on these programs was also notoriously low, and also struggling to retain people for the full period. Low attendance obviously inevitably meant low job outcomes and results. The other thing is, when we did an assessment of costs when we were back in Family Mosaic, and I know lots of people do this in the sector, the cost per head of getting someone into work kind of can range from 2,000 to 2,500. And that was in stark analysis and contrast to if someone went on this program, which if we got 20 on the program, we found was about 616 per head. And of course, you would then have to factor in follow-up support, etc. But you know, it still got to say about 1,200, which offered good value for money. So that was another reason. Also, at that point, as Lorenzo alluded to, he does peak performance and leadership coaching in a corporate level. So he was doing that within Family Mosaic. So we decided we wanted to shake up our offer. We noticed a lot of our clients were not engaging with the standard offer, as these programs did not really impact them at a deep enough level. That means people who were struggling with their self-efficacy and negative self-concept were not getting what they needed really from the standard confidence building and interview skills course. So at that point, we commissioned Lorenzo and H&L Resources to design something innovative, holistic, and that's how it all sort of started back in the day. Then what happened? Obviously, I came out of Family Mosaic at that point. We went through Rob, myself, and Lorenzo, and the contact, obviously, at JP Morgan, Kamal, went through the hoops of all the funding and managed to secure the funding, which is 530,000 for 2 years to deliver this program. So if we go to slide 3, Lindsay.
Okay. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So that's just to show you a bit of a visual, really. That's one of our Family Mosaic deliveries in London Bridge. There's Lorenzo sitting there with quite a female-led group there. And that is actually an interesting observation that it is usually about 80% women. That's actually slightly turned around on our Transform and Achieve, so I'll explain that shortly. And then if we go to slide 4, this is the first graduates of our first Transform and Achieve program, and this was held in Hackney. Yeah, so that's just letting you see those guys. That actually ended in May. So if we go to slide 5, so again, Transform and Achieve. So why really? Really what I was just saying before, we needed an innovative intervention that can more effectively support people into work. And, you know, an offer really that's attractive enough to engage and recruit onto the program and retain customers to the end. I think retention is key. So how Lorenzo really will go into that when he chats to you all, but basically it's a holistic model that uses a triad approach of psychology, coaching, nutrition and fitness. And then we do additional modules of managing finance and engage with the employer market. This is run usually 2 days a week for 6 weeks. And there's a reason for that, which is about really replacing and fixing new habits. The offer also includes connecting up with agencies right from the enrolment events to maximise job outcomes, but throughout the programme as well. And I'll also discuss a bit more about what that means. There are various models we do. So there's health and well-being, there's youth, there's enterprise, but mostly it's employment model, which is really about helping people back into work. Okay, so if we go to slide 6. That's just showing you just one of the fitness sessions. The second on the right is the fitness coach, Basil. Just to introduce you all to him. He's one of the coaches. Sorry?
Shall I move on?
Yes, so 7.
Okie doke.
Okay, so just to talk specifically about the Transform and Achieve project. So this, as I said, is funded by JP Morgan, which is incredibly exciting actually, and Metropolitan, you know, and we're very grateful, I think, for that opportunity to be able to roll out this program to East London residents. So basically, it's for East London residents, unemployed, underemployed, or economically inactive. There's 25 programs. We've run 2 so far. The outcomes we're looking for are 460 delegates to attend.
Sorry.
Oops, you okay?
That's it.
Yeah, fine. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's 400, so on the top lines, there's 460 delegates we're looking for. and we want to support 230 of those into work. We really are interested in creating effective and long-lasting partnerships with agencies and skill providers in East London. The agencies concerned could be, at the moment, we're engaging with Shore Trust, for instance, Reading Partnership, who have an over 50s offer, and also an under 24, so we're working with them on that. Also Morgan Hunt as more of a sort of commercial agency. And we also work with job brokerage, which is Get Set and Future Training. We also want to develop cohesive working relationships with RSLs to support residents and creating joint strategies targeting those who are hard to reach. And this also is a really exciting sort of serendipity, really, of this project, in that we are building some really great working relationships. For instance, Swan have been really great, Swan House, and they've given us some free venue space. So the second programme we held in Tower Hamlets, and it was great. To also say, which I haven't mentioned, although I mentioned East London, there are some key boroughs that we're focusing on, and JP and Metropolitan would like to focus on. So that's Newham, Hackney, Tower Hamlets, and Barking and Dagenham. So yeah, just to let you know that. So we want to ensure highly effective and successful delivery to maximise impact on the sector, and as it says there, leave a lasting legacy and opportunities to further benefit unemployed residents. So although this is a 2-year project, we are really looking to, as I said there, maximise the impact. So what that means is building relationships in this 2-year period that can have long-lasting benefits to the area and residents, because partnerships will be set up and that will continue well after the funding. I know JP Morgan are very keen for that as well. So if we go to slide 8. So okay, yeah, so we're all on slide 8. So that's achievements so far. I've put there 2012 to 2017. So this was really pre-Transform and Achieve, when we were rolling it out in Family Mosaic. And some others, Thames Valley Housing also do this programme as well. And Hyde have also just commissioned one. I'll go into that in a moment. So basically, yeah, the proven track record since 2012, we've delivered over 30 programmes with well over 400 delegates. We usually get 50% into work plus, really, and then 60% we find for the youth programmes, because we've got such good links, with contractors and apprenticeship providers. We usually get about 17% into work placements and 9% into further training. This is an average on per course. With the work placements, that can be such a valuable thing, obviously, because people can then get a reference and get some experience, and it helps with that whole sort of connection as well that they experience with actually going into the workplace. It also won a little bit back in the day now, but won the NatFed National Community Impact Award as well in 2014, which is great. We also do measure on our health and wellbeing programmes, health and wellbeing improvements, and we do that via the Short Warwick Edinburgh Wellbeing Scale, and it used to be about 80% improvement, so we were really pleased with that, and that's people with lots of different issues, lots of different sort of mental health issues, etc. So it's quite a versatile offer. I mean, something to say here as well is we attract all ages on the course, 30s, 40s, 50s, as I said, 60s. As I said, in the Transform and Achieve one, we've actually tipped the balance, which we're quite happy with, which is we're getting a 60-40% with men to women, so 60% women, 40% men. So that's been really good. Going on to Transform and Achieve, so this obviously started earlier this year. Things we've done, really, we've really had a good look at the model. It's all basically the same in terms of the modules, etc. But we've done some enhancements to the recruitment and engagement. So what we've found is we've had over 13 attendants for both the first programme and the second programme. And the retention's again been excellent, of 82%, 85%. But even some of those who don't attend, because we can't complete in the courses more than 75% attendance. So, but some people may attend 50%, but they still end up getting into work and stuff. But in terms of the actual 75%, it's about 82 to 85%. Yeah, so we also have a robust candidate management program, post-program. What this means is we're very keen with everyone who actually attends the program that they're not just sort of left after they really are on a high after the program and feel very motivated where their self-efficacy is really built, and we really want to keep working with them. So our team, we've got a team of 3 at the moment, including employment advisors and project support. They keep in touch with everybody, and we have like a real-time report. And so we can tell you where we are with every single candidate that's gone through the process. And we need to be very process-driven like this, because this is only going to build as well. This is really helping with the job outputs on this program, and so far exceeding job outcomes by target by 35%. So we're really pleased. That is hard work, and it does take effort, but it's great to see those results and people getting into work from these first 2 programs. One thing I also wanted to say is we did take a more commercial view of the marketing and engagement. What I mean by that is we did get some expertise from the private sector on how to get a message across. I'm happy to share the flyer and the advert with people after this. We did actually put some adverts in the local press and things like that as well. We were expecting 18 was our target, and as I said, we got 30 on each programme, so that really did help. And I know attracting and engagement in the sector, that, you know, it can be a problem. And I remember when I was back in Planning Mosaic, so that just to share that with you, it is possible. And we do engage also with the DWP. We've had some great partnerships there. You know, I've got some interesting stats on people that have attended. For instance, on our second one, we had a third were over 50, a third were from the DWP as well. The rest were from the housing sector, Metropolitan customers and other customers of in housing. We also, instead of inductions, we have enrolment events now, and we get those agencies I described to you before on board. And I think that really helped strengthen the attraction for people, because they could see from the outset that jobs were, you know, on offer, and supports was there. So they'd come along, and instead of seeing them one by one that we normally do in inductions, we'd have group sessions, and then they'd go along and meet agencies and start engaging with them right from the get-go. And I think that has also, you know, really helped. One thing I also wanted to say is, as part of all this, we do have a governance board, and Lindsay, I'm very glad to say, is on that. And we've got representation from One Housing, Peabody. We've got Andy Milton, who's the chair. We've got 2 residents who've gone through the programme as well on there. So we've got the governance board. We've also got University of East London doing independent evaluation for us. So we will have some very robust evaluation, and any partners that get involved can have access to that too. So that will include interviews and all sorts. So just to let you know that. So, okay, if we go on to the next slide,
Okay.
So basically, guys, I mean, some of you are already involved, and to say with Hyde, Hyde have also just commissioned Transform and Achieve. So there's one running in Islington, so that's fantastic. That's our first sort of scale up of this project, so that's great. But guys, any of you, if you have customers in East London, you can access this offer completely free of charge. So please, I'm sure my contact details will be up. You can email myself, and I'd be able to let you know how that could progress. And then also, if you just wanted to get involved, to let you know, there's a date coming up. This may confuse some of you who've already been invited. There's a launch. It was scheduled for 11th of July. I'm afraid that's had to be postponed. But I can say hot off the press, the new date is 4th of September. So Emilda, for instance, I know you accepted. So it's going to be the 4th of September. So I'd love, all of you, please, invited. I'll organise with Lindsay to send you an official invite, okay? So that would be great to see you all there. We're also rolling out this programme, London-wide. So there's a JP Morgan contract, but for instance, H&L, they work with Thames Valley already, and in fact we're here today on an induction event. And also Shepherd's Bush Housing has just put on a programme, and of course Family Mosaic / Peabody have had a long history of rolling these out, so just to let you know that. Is there anything I've forgotten, Lorenzo?
I think that's right. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to, could you put the other slide up, Lindsay?
Sorry.
So that's just showing you another, where was this one held? This was Thames Valley.
Sorry?
The Thames Valley one. If you go back to that photo slide. Yeah, so just
yeah.
the Thames Valley one, yeah? So where was that held, literally? Aylesbury? Hounslow, right, okay. Okay, I'm now going to hand over to Lorenzo. So, Lindsay, if you could go to slide 11.
I will, thanks, Juliet. And just for everyone who's tuning in, just so you know, because I'm broadcasting the screen, I can't see the chat box, I don't think, without disrupting the PowerPoint. So please do keep your comments coming into the chat box and I'll grab them at the end. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Lindsay.
Lorenzo, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. So, hi, everyone again. Unusual doing these kind of conversations on webinar because you can't see my eyebrows move. They're quite expressive. But hopefully you can get the feel of what we do here. Certainly for myself, my organisation and team of coaches focus on how to enable people to personally change, so personal change and transformation. And that was the deeper level offering that Family Mosaic asked me to come up with as a design. They wanted something that would really help people beyond the surface level, confidence building, training stuff. And at that time, my personal interest was on peak performance, personal change. A lot of this is steeped in neuroscience, for anyone who knows this stuff. And I brought that to the party and basically felt that we could achieve change at what you call a cellular level by just understanding a bit more about the brain. So I've started with this this slide just to give you a flavour of the kind of thing that we address in this program that people love, that they're really enjoying and really feel the impact and the change, as a result of going through this type of psychology approach. So this is a saying by, you probably know the gentleman who said it, Brian Tracy, and under the heading of creating empowering actions and habits. So the program is designed to actually get people to feel empowered and actually to think about their habits. And I'm going to take you through some slides to describe a bit more how we do that. But I love this saying, you always behave on the outside in a manner consistent with your self-concept on the inside. I put this up purely so that you understand we help people to look at their self-concepts, because that is a big driver to behaviours that they are doing. If you could do the next slide for me, please, Lindsay. Hello, Lindsay, if you could do the next slide for me.
Yeah, I can see, I've done that. Can you not see that, Lorenzo?
Oh, I've done it, got it now. Yeah, so I can see it now. Yep. So here's another one.
Lovely.
And again, this is another slide that emphasises the point, really, that you are what you repeatedly do. Success is not an action, but a habit. This is actually a saying from Aristotle. We go to philosophy as well, but I want to make the point here that even though this is a conversation in psychology, it's teaching about the brain, which is why I've got this image here. The program achieves its change by very experiential, participative, bite-sized, if you like, sessions. In any one day, people will get 5 different lessons. One will be on psychology, one will be on exercise, another one will be on nutrition and the impact this has on cells and hormones. Another one might be, say, for example, on skills, interview skills and techniques, etc. Okay, but this slide just gives an emphasis on how we get to the point where people feel they've actually had breakthroughs and feel a sense of transformation, because we do introduce the concept of the brain. And the slide is just saying that all of us have one of these, of course, in our heads, and they're all the same in terms of mechanically speaking, usually. But of course, the way that they work will be different in terms of the mind. So the next slide, if you could show that for me, please, Lindsay, we'll elaborate on this.
We're there.
Okay, great. The next slide should say personal change and self-transformation. Great. So first bullet point, what we have found works from day one is we introduce people to the concepts of peak performance through personal change and transformation. And peak performance is something I spend quite a lot of time talking to people about, the two words of peak and performance. Getting people to understand that this is not counselling, it's more like coaching, actually, because even though we can't take away a lot of personal issues people are facing, we're helping people to learn the word performance. Because of course, when you go to work, you come in to behave in a particular way that's appropriate to the environment you're in. So we really introduce people to the concept of hopefully coming out of the personal life challenges, performing to achieve your goals in the outside world and in the workplace in a manner that kind of overrides, or if you like, just puts some of the personal issues in the background from 9 to 5, if that's your hours, for example. So we introduce people to that concept. Second bullet point says understanding the mechanics of the brain and the key drivers behind thoughts and emotions. It is useful. People love it. They understand. They don't always know why they get an emotional hijacking, and that's what it's called in technical terms. Is, you know, when your emotions seem to go to places that you don't want it to go to, and we help them to understand that is actually the function of the brain. We talked a little bit about neuroscience and the limbic system and things that I won't go into too much detail here, but the basic concept is to understand a bit about why the brain does what it does, why you may experience emotional hijackings. In other words, where you feel you've been hijacked, your emotions going in a direction you don't want them to. Third bullet point, enabling conscious competence in managing emotions and understanding unconscious incompetence and the effect this is currently having on achieving personal goals. So during the process, we get people to almost freeze there, look at themselves from, if you like, above, you know, from a sort of an aerial view of how they may have behaved in certain situations. Situations that they usually find stressful, challenging. We get them to think about what goes on in terms of in those situations, and to think about how their behaviours are either helping or hindering them. And we introduce them to the concept of being more consciously competent. So actually, if you like, going back to the word of performance, rehearsing what you think you should be doing in that environment. And then of course, hopefully, if you've rehearsed enough, you practice, and you know, the role play, if you like, will be much more effective and much more convincing. And move them towards their personal goals. That's what enabling them to understand conscious competence and of course unconscious incompetence is all about. If you can move to the next slide for me, please, Lindsay. Great. So continuing on the subject of personal change and self-transformation, what we do with our delegates is get them to think about life scripts. So we do get them to think about where their self-concepts would have originated, where they come from. Again, these are bite-sized sessions. They might sound heavy, but they are hour-long sessions, and they're done in a very interactive way. But understanding a bit about how your upbringing would have given you some sort of concepts of yourself, and how these concepts can have an impact on your personal performance. Hopefully the concepts are positive, but many of the times some of the self-concepts from your upbringing may not be positive, and so they hinder you. Second bullet point is understanding neural pathways and unconscious habits. So neural pathways is a simple concept of the way that the cells in the brain, or the neurons in the brain, formulate or move to formulate thinking. And your thinking, if consistently done in one particular way, of course, we call them habits. So it's just a bit of an understanding of the consistency of thought creates a pathway, and that, of course, is what your habits are. That's where your habits come from. So we talk about that, get people to understand that that's a pathway that you've been treading for many years, or thinking in that direction for many years. We know in brain development theory that you can actually create new neural pathways. And so we help people to understand they can create new habits. The third bullet point, learning strategies to create new empowering thoughts, actions and habits. So yes, we actually don't just talk at them, we actually get them to practice some habits, some actions, I beg your pardon, some habits, some actions that can create habits. So the idea there is to give them some strategies they can do first thing in the morning, actions they can take throughout their day that empower them, that make them feel positive. And these things, if you do them consistently, they then become habitual actions that you kind of start doing in a very autopilot way. The fourth bullet point, and creating new habits in 28 days. Well, if you go onto Google, or Google God as I call it, and you just type in 28 days to, you'll see it will finish the type for you, create a habit. And that's a well-known discussion in psychology where it's been established that any action that you take consistently over a period of 28 days plus, you're creating a new neural pathway. Your brain will start to do that action more on autopilot as opposed to consciously competent. And in fact, we're going to unconscious competent, which is where we want to get people to as well, to a stage where these actions that you're taking are competent actions for you, and they're a new form of autopilot for you. And we know that 28 days is the minimum time, and this is done every day, that the brain takes to make these actions a habit. And this is synonymous, or this is linked also with the length of the course. The course is 6 weeks long. This is the background to the design of the 6-week course. Over 6 weeks, if you look at it at 2 days a week on a 5-day-week basis, that's 30 days. So we've designed it so that we get them in on the same 2 days over 6 weeks, practice some techniques on the same 2 days over techniques over 6 weeks, and then this soon becomes positive habits for them. And the last bullet point is boosting positive hormones through positive thinking, exercise and nutrition. So this is really just to explain a bit more about how we enable this transformation to happen. Positive thinking, we know in neuroscience, in fact, there's a discussion in psychology called psychoneuroimmunology, or PNI. Psychoneuroimmunology is proven that positive hormones actually are at work when you're thinking positively. And this has a massive impact on your immune system in a positive way. So we introduce them to that concept, and we enable it. In fact, we do it with them, because the exercise, of course, we all probably know that delivers some great things to the brain, as we're aware. So this is how we go about doing that. And of course, nutrition also has a big impact on emotions as well. So that's really just a brief insight into the how we go about doing this. And that's really as much as I wanted to say. I hope it's not been too gobbledygook, but I'll hand over to Juliet now. And I think really now, if people have any questions, Lindsay, we're happy to take them.
Lovely, thanks very much. I've just unshared my screen and video, so well done, you've gone through that. And thanks all the attendees for staying on and listening. I'm just going to catch up with some questions. Thanks, some of the panelists have answered them for us. What does RSL stand for, which is Registered Social Landlord, or in English, Housing Association. And an early question came from Tahira, for Juliet or Lorenzo, which was about the course itself. You said it lasts 6 weeks. Does it go towards, or do you complete a qualification as part of that, or not?
No, it's not an accredited course, if that is what she means. But yeah, no. Yeah. So it's not. What we do find is people go on to do accredited courses. And we're just setting up a partnership with Learning Curve at the moment, who kind of linked with Morgan Hunt. So if people do want, for instance, get into customer service and they're not quite work ready yet, it would really sort of help them to secure a role in there. They can go on and do a specific course that will help them into work. But no, it's not. But Yeah, do you want to say anything about that?
No, I think that's the answer to that. I think that it was very interesting when we did get this contract from JP Morgan, because I know that one thing that I remember them saying was they did have a lot of accredited courses bid for the contract. So we didn't feel that it was something that we had to do to make sure that this achieved the outcome.
Yeah, that's fine. Can I ask, is there any sort of graduation event, a sort of passing between study, learning and completion without a qualification achieved?
Yes, definitely. So on the last day, everyone does get a certificate, and it is a really important part of the whole process, actually. By that time, and something actually I neglected to mention is one really lovely serendipity of these courses is the connection people get with each other. I think often people are a bit isolated for whatever reason, and some great friendships form. So on day 12, without fail, on all of them, it's what we're going to do now. We've just loved this so much. They're all, it's quite sort of emotional, basically. So yes, we do graduation ceremony. They all get a certificate. We usually do, they all come up and say a few words about how the program's impacted them. And it's always, well, it's just always absolutely lovely, actually. It's always a privilege, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
The graduate, yeah.
Right.
So yes, there is. And then, of course, as I said, it's very important for us to keep in touch with them. Quite a lot goes on. Something I did neglect to mention is there's one-on-one coaching on the actual program. And that one-on-one coaching also goes on afterwards via telephone, which we found a really effective way to keep their sort of self-belief up, momentum, and also to coach them more into how to sell themselves effectively to employers. So it's not counselling, it's coaching. That's a really sort of effective and I think quite a valued part of the course from a participant, because it's very individual, obviously. It's just confidential one-on-one coaching, which added to the classroom offer, I think is quite powerful. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. We've got a couple more questions that have come in. From Optivo, Hugo says, who's carrying out the independent evaluation? Now, I know you mentioned it's the University of East London.
That's correct.
Is there a particular unit in there? And I had a question also on that in terms of the timescale. When might we first hear anything on the evaluation? I know it's early days.
Yes, yeah. So they've had, we do quite a robust evaluation form, and they've had that for the first two, so that's been scanned over and emailed to University of East London. They've also done 2 telephone interviews, and they're going to do 30 of those throughout the programme. The first report's going to be in January, which will be great because it gives us a chance, to instigate any improvements or findings or recommendations, for the rest of the programme. I can't remember the department. I know the person is called Darren Sharp. And
yeah, that's right.
But I could get that information to you, what unit they're in. But it's great having them on board, actually. And they also formulated 2 other sort of metrics, which I can give. One's called work and adjustment or something. The DWP used that, I think, or something. Sorry, okay. I'll give you the title. And one's also based again on short Edinburgh Warwick. So we do that, and then we also do an evaluation, literally going through each segment of the programme as well, so we can start to see what bits have been picked out as the most valuable. What we find is generally most of it seems to be pretty highly valued.
Yeah.
It'll just be interesting. The board wants us to capture all that as well.
Okay.
So the evaluation's quite robust.
And last question on evaluation, which has just come up. Will it include sort of social value, impact value? It could be hacked or it could be other type measures. Have you discussed that with the University of East London?
Yeah, I have. I've said it'd be really valuable if it could. So they're going to look into that.
Okay.
I mean, it might be good. I mean, I know hacked are on this. And in fact, we wanted to, sorry, this is probably not the right, but we wanted to, in fact, invite the chief executive to HACT and maybe another representative to the launch too. So again, offline, but yeah, we'd love HACT to have a chat with HACT. impact on that. But
Okay.
yes, they are going to look at the social value. We really want it to tackle all different areas, the evaluation, so be really meaningful.
Lovely, good. Okay, you're nearly there. We've still got a few questions, so bear with us. There's a question from Sovereign about the geography of the project and whether there are any plans to extend it beyond London, maybe with additional partners. Now, and that brings me on to a question which I had about the hoops you had to go through with JP Morgan to get the funding through. So I'll take chair's privilege and say that as far as I'm aware, JP Morgan are funding something very similar to this in Bournemouth with another lead housing association down there. So Sovereign, I'll put you in touch with JP Morgan from London and see if there's any connection that can be made there in terms of immediate other areas. But Juliet, Lorenzo, I know that you won't necessarily know what JP Morgan are planning to invest and where beyond this geography, but if you do, please comment, and if you don't, could you just say a few words on the process you went through for applying and successfully getting the £550,000 from JP Morgan? Like, what demands were placed on you to do that?
Right, yeah, I don't really know what else JP
That's fine.
doing, but yeah, yeah, it was just, we had to do a proposal and fill out, it was quite a long time ago now, I'm almost forgetting what it was, but we had to do a lengthy proposal. We had several meetings with the lead there, Kamal, to sort of explain everything, make sure this was the right sort of program for what they wanted. And then there was the concept proposal, and then financial stuff, you know, so all the costs all had to be sort of itemised. It was quite lengthy, but it wasn't ridiculously onerous, you know. Yeah, so they wanted to know all about the evidence and the track record and everything. All that had to go into it, the sort of whole concept, you know, we had to go into detail how we felt this intervention could, what's the word, and be a solution for the unemployment in East London. The reason they chose East London was because of the high percentage rates of unemployment there, but also I think it's because JP Morgan are based there, you know, in Canary Wharf, and they're quite keen to sort of fund areas around them, which is why probably Bournemouth is another one. So yeah, it was just some forms that we had to upload it on something called Cyber Grants, and then we had to wait really. Often there'd be questions back and forth, and we'd have to sort of answer them on anything that we needed to.
Okay.
Yeah, there were different tiers, so you would send the proposal off, and then it would have to go through various committees. And then I think it ended up getting signed off in New York. So it all sounds very sort of glamorous. Unfortunately, we couldn't visit or anything. So, yeah. So yeah, yeah. So
okay, lovely.
Yeah.
That does. Yeah, thank you very much. And Lorenzo mentioned that you were aware you were competing with other organisations as well through that process.
Yeah, we were. I mean, as I say, the conversation that we got from JP was that they wanted something that wasn't out there. It seemed there wasn't.
Yeah.
They didn't receive anyone else that was giving this offer, and most of the offers were. Yeah. Most of the offers, I think, were around employability, accredited courses, and things like that. But this course was something I created purely because I happened to come across, you know, Judith mentioned her director in housing I was coaching at the time, and said the residents need something very similar to what I was doing with the leadership team there, which was about, you know, personal performance and peak performance and personal leadership. Yeah. So I'm not aware that there's a similar product.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point, Lorenzo, that you make, and what it reminds me, I suppose, to highlight is that commercial funding through private investment allows for almost a totally flip side of funding to most standard government type monies, which will, despite apprenticeship reforms, nearly always lead towards qualifications and measurable, countable impacts that are very basic and simple, which they need to be. But I think it's really interesting that this corporate money has allowed the reverse of that to be commissioned. So, you know, something that's not readily available, that's not mass market, and that doesn't lead to a nationally recognised qualification, and yet has got a lot of value and power to it. And private money can just say, yeah, okay, we'll fund that to this tune.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting. I think it's an area that we as housing associations should look to do more of. I've got two last quite practical questions. I hope this is okay. One is, how long does the telephone one-to-one coaching go on for? So that's, I suppose, after the 6 weeks of contact. That's question one. And question two is, do you work with individuals who are looking to get better work? So they might be working but want to get out of in-work poverty. So two quick questions there, and I'm aware we've only got 3 minutes. So
go
ahead if you have anything.
Yeah, the telephone coaching is offered for 3 months after the end of, after graduation from the TNA training.
3 months.
3 months, yeah, for 3 months. Telephone coaching at a frequency of 1 per month. But I say to people, if you want more, then we can add more. It's quite easy for me to do. And in terms of, do we address what we call the underemployed, or people that, what we call them, I suppose one term would be the underemployed, people who are looking to move out of, Julie, you can
okay. So, no, I'm glad that question came up, because yes is the quick answer. Definitely, we are looking to help the underemployed, and we found that's really good, because some other things, like for instance, Love London Working, they don't work with the underemployed, so it's very sort of complementary in the marketplace. And also it's very key, because people just want to be able to improve their prospects, and it's quite a big thing out there that people are not getting the pay that they need. But what we found, we were going to put on a webinar specifically for the underemployed. One thing, interesting observation we found, is all the programs that we were going to put on specifically, which was going to be youth, over 50s, underemployed, enterprise, we found that from the first 2 cohorts, we're attracting all of those people. So that we're really sort of happy with that. So we're probably just going to keep to the more generic offer. And especially with the youth, like we got a huge response, and certainly with the youth, we find instead of having maybe one that's particularly for the youth, it's a bit more realistic for the mixed ages, because it is about to work. We are looking to get people back into work, and you're not going to be working with a bunch of 18-year-olds. So we're also looking, we have the next one, to just let you know, is a youth one, by the way, everyone, and it starts on the 23rd of July to the 3rd of August. If you've got any customers or residents in East London, you're more than welcome to refer them free of charge, obviously. So again,
Fabulous.
But listen, sorry, I'm conscious of the time. So
no, okay, no, you've done really well, thank you. Lorenzo and Juliet, if you've got a couple of minutes, please stay on.
Okay.
Would you be happy to share those slides with us?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
Great. So we can share those with the recording of the webinar. That typically goes out, everyone, within about 3-4 working days. So we'll notify all GUAC members, especially our attendees, that the recording is available. We'll cut out the bits where I was trying to find the PowerPoint presentation and sweating it a bit. But so it'll be a nice sort of 45-minute presentation with all the questions and the links as well. And thank you for sharing your slides. Thank you very much indeed for the hour that you've given us today, Lorenzo and Juliet. We hugely appreciate it. All the attendees stayed on. Thank you. I'll say goodbye to everyone, really. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll speak to you, Juliet, in a sec. But thanks, everyone. Thanks to Hira for sharing some information there. Thanks for all your questions and comments. We're at time, but I hope everyone has a really lovely sunny weekend. Okay, cheers. Bye.